One winter morning in Oregon, John Cooper was driving home on his snowmobile. He moved here recently as doctors advised him to stay at a place with clean air. He rarely went out to local supermarkets, especially in winter, but this morning he was coming back just after shopping. Suddenly, an animal ran across his path. The man stopped and decided to check. In the bushes, he saw a little wolf cub. He must be lost, John thought. And then the wolf cub ran up to the snowmobile and started sniffing at the purchases from the supermarket. "Oh, you're hungry," said the man, and cut off a piece of meat to the puppy. The wolf gratefully accepted the meal. John could not leave the cub alone in the forest. He put him on his chest and drove home. The animal quickly adapted in the man's house. John even gave the puppy a nickname, Stan, so the wolf cub lived with him for a week. But when the weather improved, he began to beg to go outside, and John let him go. However, after 2 days, Stan came to John when he was fishing at the lake. The man was very happy and stroked the wolf cub. Stan began to visit John periodically, especially when there was a snowstorm outside. But one day he did not come alone. The wolf cub brought his mother. Since that time, they had started coming together quite often. But the adult wolf did not cause any problems for John. Several months passed. During this time, Stan had transformed into a young wolf. One evening, while cleaning the house, John heard a howl. He opened the door and saw Stan and his mother. But the wolves refused to enter the house and left after a couple of minutes. Very strange, the man thought, and closing the door, he forgot to lock it with a key. It had become his bad habit. He believed that in such a remote area he had nothing to fear. However, this time it was different. A few minutes later, 3 people came up to the house. They pulled the doorknob and were very glad to realize that the house was not locked. John heard the intruders, but it was too late. They were already in his living room. "Old man, we need to eat and keep warm. And if you behave well, you will stay alive," one of them said. But John was not a coward. He rushed at the bandits with his fists. However, they quickly threw him to the floor and tied him up. It was at that moment that Stan appeared at the door. He rushed furiously at the offenders of his friend, but then one of them took a pistol out of his pocket and shot at the wolf. Wounded, Stan fell. A pool of blood immediately formed around him. "What the hell is going on? Why is the wolf here?" the bandit shouted and kicked John. Then his eyes flickered to the door. A cold shiver ran down his spine. Stan's mother was standing in the doorway. She jumped and attacked the bandits. She started tearing and biting them, preventing them from escaping. Meanwhile, John managed to free himself from the ropes. He ran up to Stan and gave him first aid. Then he called the police. Having arrived to the scene, the officers immediately arrested the bandits. Despite John's care and treatment, Stan died 3 days later. All this time, his mother never left his side. She stopped eating and drinking. A week after his death, she also died from longing and exhaustion. John buried them on a hill near the house. During the long winter evenings, sitting by the fireplace, he often recalled the moment he had met a small puppy. As it turned out, their meeting was not accidental.